We'll call the Cottreville Township Board meeting to order at 7:30 this Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call attendance, please, Angela.
Mary Agnes Simons, here. Angela Berlinski, here. Marilyn DeLugie,
Here.
Thomas Kaufman,
Here.
Eugene Moore.
Here.
Very good. We have a couple of things to add to the agenda. Actually, not adding to it. It's just updating something in the new business. Number 6 and number 7 are two utility bill adjustments. The late fee was established at a certain amount, and it's now rolled over for another month. So we're just going to make those documentations at the time that we approve or disapprove of the late fee waiving. The other thing is adding McKenna Planners from Northville is doing a revamp of the city of Marine City's master plan and their 5-year parks and recs. So they sent us a letter, and I've given you a copy of that in your stuff that's laying loose there. Another thing I'd like to do is to go right to new business, number 8. And the sheriff, Matt King, is here from the Sheriff's Department, county, and so he doesn't have to hang around here and listen to all the yin-yang stuff that goes on around our township. We'll let him go to the podium and then introduce himself and go from there. If that's all right with everybody. Do you have anybody have a problem with that?
Do you want us to approve the agenda first, or just go right to number 8?
Well, we can do that, or we can just approve him so he doesn't have to hang
All right.
around long. It's up to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the
With
change of,
Okay,
Moving
and with
them up
the,
to-
and with the additions.
yes.
Okay,
I'll
all in
second.
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, nays, none?
None.
Motion carried. Go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to come and present our annual report and give an update on our drug task force. I know you guys have busy meetings and people come and you need a lot of time, so I'm going to try to get a lot of information out in a short period of time. I passed out the annual report, and I'll get on that in just a minute. First, I'd like to introduce myself and tell a little bit about myself. My name is Matt King. I'm the sheriff here in St. Clair County, obviously, and I've been in law enforcement for almost 28 years. I started my career in the Detroit Police Department, grew up on Wadhams Road in St. Clair Township, and believe it or not, while I was in high school, the Detroit Police Department took my application. And I look back at that, it blows my mind. But 1 year out of school, I moved down to Detroit and started my career. My friends were in college and frat parties, and I was a Detroit police officer. So I started right out the gate, and after 2 years to the day, I came back home, which is St. Clair County, and entered the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office. That's been home to me for my entire life professionally. I was out I started as obviously a deputy on the road patrol, worked for various days and night locations, and then I had the opportunity to go to the drug task force and enter the special response team. I have 20 years of experience on the special response team. I worked my way up to commander, and I had 9 years at the drug task force, both positions working as a deputy, sergeant, lieutenant, and then road patrol captain. I was also in the mix there, a day and night sergeant, day and night lieutenant, and 2 years in the detective bureau as the detective lieutenant. I was afforded the opportunity to go to the Michigan State University School of Staff and Command, which is a 10-week school for frontline and executive law enforcement professionals, and the extreme pleasure and honor to go to the FBI National Academy in 2019. And it's said that the top 1% in law enforcement are afforded that. That's when I finally had dorm life at the age of 44 or whatever. Lived in a dorm in Quantico on the FBI base and attended schools. Both those schools are backed by accredited college courses. Michigan State University obviously is backed by their college, and then FBI NA's courses are backed by Virginia University. So proud of my career, and that's me in a nutshell. I have 4 children, they're all grown. I'm an empty nester, that's why I smile more now. And they're all out paying their own bills, so life's good. And I currently live in Port Huron Township. Love St. Clair County, it's home to me. So on to the Sheriff's Office. I want to give a quick overview of what's going on at the Sheriff's Office. I passed out this annual report. It's the first ever annual report for the Sheriff's Office. Really gives a good picture of what's going on, the things we do. There's some stats and pictures, and a lot of information in here about what we do, not just as far as answering calls and making traffic stops and doing police work, but our community engagement as well. As we know, in law enforcement, that is such a huge part of what we do now, to be connected with the community. I'm going to kind of break up the two facets of what we have at the Sheriff's Office. But at the Sheriff's Office, we have obviously our Road Patrol, Corrections, Marine and Dive, our support staff, and our Explorer Post, which I just found out 2 days ago they won the Governor's Award at the yearly competition. Usually it's one of the big, huge counties that win. So the first ever time we won the Governor's Award, the overall competition's winner was won by our local Explorer Post. They were excited, and I'm excited for them. So it was pretty cool. So under our Road Patrol, obviously we have our Road Patrol deputies, which most of us see. People wear a uniform just like this, answer calls. They're out there doing traffic. We answered nearly 54,000 calls for service this year, very busy year. Also, we have our Detective Bureau, our Drug Task Force, which I'll talk about individually in a minute, our Special Response Team, Accident Investigative Team. And our Accident Investigative Team is known throughout the state for their professionalism and their training. We had some terrific accident investigators and reconstructionists that have really built that program up. The unfortunate part is they're so good because they respond to a lot of very bad accidents. We have a lot of high-speed roadways in our county, as we know, and that creates bad crashes. We have our drone team. Now, our drone team helps with our drug task force a little bit, but usually our special response team, and a big part of what they're used for is search and rescue, as well as mapping out exactly what happened in the aftermath of these crashes I just talked about. They go up and take thousands of pictures of the crash scene so it can all be reconstructed later. It's an amazing program we have there. We have hostage negotiation team that obviously help our special response team. Our traffic enforcement team, which consists of secondary road. That's a deputy that is funded through the state, and all he does is travel these busy roads that aren't I-94 or an M road, right? So your Wadhams Road, your Marine City Highway, things like that, and they do traffic enforcement on that. And then our commercial motor vehicle, I talked about that a minute ago, Trustee Kaufman, about their goal is to educate and try to sway people who are hauling big loads to do it legally and safely. They work very closely with local truck drivers and commercial motor vehicle operators. And then, of course, they do write tickets when they have to, and I always do hear about it, but because they're expensive. But the idea is to have our roads safe, not to try to penalize our professionals in our community. Our school resource officer group, proud of them. I've doubled the amount of school resource officers we have here at the Sheriff's Office. We work very closely with all the other school resource officers in the county, and my captain created a work group, so they all meet quarterly, if not more often. Anytime there's a school threat, every department will send out an email blast to the whole department, because we know these kids, they may go to this school but live in this community, and it crosses over, and that way we're not investigating the same thing 3 times. But they're doing a very good job making connection with kids, investigating things, let teachers be teachers and let the cops be cops. And we work very closely with our school districts. We're in Memphis School District, Port Huron Area School District, and Anchor Bay School District. There are other SROs, but they work for other departments, but we work very closely together. We have a new K-9, and he's doing great. We plan on adding another one as soon as we can get up the staff, and that way we'll have better coverage, one on each shift. We have 12-hour shifts, so you're on one side or the other. That's how those days work out. So we're trying to get another K-9 up and running. So again, they do a lot of great work, and those are the people that we hear about a lot. The people we don't hear about a lot is our corrections deputies. They work tremendously hard in very difficult situations. Most of our deputies, at least 80% of the people they come in contact are like people in this room. Just, everyday people. Maybe they have a neighborhood dispute or a car accident, or have to report a crime, a property crime, or whatever. And then, of course, we have the percentage of people that are difficult to deal with and maybe need a trip to jail. But the people that work in our corrections, they're dealing with the most difficult people in our community. Especially nowadays, if you find yourself in jail for a considerable amount of time, you've probably worked pretty hard to get there. And there's a large percentage of our inmate population that are also consumers of mental health services. We know in our society that has become a problem that we're really behind on addressing, but we have those services in our jail, but it makes the corrections deputies' jobs that much more difficult. In our jail, we have medical staff, mental health staff that are contracted out through companies that provide those services for us, as well as food services, an intervention academy that affords the inmates and detainees the ability to get their GED, or they can actually get a diploma through the intervention academy. It's not done in very many jails. The corrections deputies are tasked with making sure that the over 15 programs that we have available to inmates and detainees are available in a safe setting and in a safe way. They control chaos back there, and they're tasked with ensuring safety and security in our facility, transporting inmates and detainees throughout our county and outside of our county, and to facilitate those programs. A lot going on back there. It's not like you see in the movies or you think where there's just a guy walking around with a key and unlocking and locking doors. They really try to get ahead of problems, and they have to create a relationship with the inmates and detainees. So the calmer they are, the better the job is for the corrections deputies and the safer everybody is. Our Marine Division, I was just talking about that a minute ago with the tornado. Our Marine Division obviously is a very big part of our community because all the waterways we have. They responded to they had 1,406 hours of patrol hours, not including the special events, and they responded to 189 calls for service. They're very busy, and these individuals, most of them, have regular jobs. A lot of them are either retirees in law enforcement or civilians that just want to be a part of law enforcement. They go through extensive training in law enforcement and waterway safety. A lot of them come with boater experience because they're interested, because that's what they do. But here they are working usually their 40-hour week and either taking time off or working on their time off, and they really afford us the ability to have a good service to the community and keep our waterways as safe as possible at a good budget, because we're not given a big budget for Marine Division. We have 2 accident investigators that are also experts in reconstruction for waterway crashes, which is very rare. Attached to our Marine Division is our dive team. We have one of the best trained dive team and equipped dive teams in the state. We get calls from all over the state for help. We do belong to a conglomerate, so we can help each other. But our dive team, as we know, handle the flats and St. Clair River. It's Lake St. Clair, but then you have the St. Clair River, right? 2 totally different kinds of bodies of water. St. Clair River is deep, it moves fast, it's got freighters, and then you go out into one of the largest waterways in the country or the world in one of the Great Lakes. So they have to be able to operate in all those different areas, totally different type of diving, different equipment, and they do a phenomenal job. They are almost exclusively volunteer, and they are almost exclusively self-funded through fundraising. It's just not a line item budget that we get a lot of help with, and they do a tremendous job and take a lot of pride in what they do. In our Explorer program, as I spoke about earlier, Explorer post 2004, we had our deputies and sergeants that had belonged to Explorer programs since they were young, and they were helping other departments, and I had a detective and an officer or a deputy come to me and say, hey, I want to start our own Explorer team. I'm like, yes, we're the largest law enforcement agency in the county. Why don't we have our own? So these young people come to us, in their mid-teens, and they learn about law enforcement. They train in everything you think about, responding to domestics, weapons handling, traffic stops, report writing, victim services, all these things that police have to do. They get exposed to, they train. I just talked about the fact that they go to a competition, and they get to decide, hey, you know what, do I want to do this or not? Especially in this day and age, we've had people go through the academy and the school. My nephew is one, hired him, and after about 2 years, he's like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Well, we're hoping that not only will we use this as a recruitment tool, but we'll know that these individuals have made the decision they want to serve the public as a law enforcement professional, and it really sets them up for a nice career and to know what they want to do. So we're proud of that program. Our drug task force, the millage is up this year. It's a 4-year millage. It's up every presidential election cycle, and it'll be on the ballot for the primary in August. And the drug task force is made up of 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 9 deputies, and 1 support staff, all employed by the sheriff's office. We also pay the wages on 1 prosecutor and 1 support staff through the prosecutor's office. 2 Port Huron police officers, 1 Clay Township police officer, and 1 Marison police officer. We like that we have a big footprint with everybody working together, informants, information, meeting the needs of our community throughout the county, and they do a terrific job combating the drug problem. I'll never stand here and act like the Drug Task Force is gonna stop the drug problem. It's not going to. But it will, and has been doing for over 30 years, stopping people from coming in our community and becoming comfortable in dealing drugs. We have a lot of people that import themselves from larger cities, from Detroit and the other cities in between, and Flint. We're about 50 minutes away from each. The drug dealers I've been here 26 years. I remember interviewing a drug dealer from Detroit when I started. Why are you here in Port Huron? Why are you here in Cottreville Township? Why are you here in Marysville? And they're just like, well, here I'm the big dog because I'm from Detroit, so now everybody's afraid of me. And I get twice as much money for my drugs. Because down there, they're saturated with drug dealers, right? Supply and demand. What they learn very quickly is we're very aggressive. We work quickly. We have a good grasp of what's going on in our community. The amount of enforcement we have compared to larger communities or some communities that don't have the funding is much more saturated. And I don't know how many times in my time out there, and I hear from the guys that are still doing that great work, that people are like, how did you get here so quick? I've been here 3 days and you've just busted my door in. And that's the idea, to keep them uncomfortable and keep them from coming back. We're aggressive in our investigations. We have a terrific working relationship with other police agencies, as well as some federal police law enforcement agencies and our prosecutor's office. And we really have it locked down how to investigate these, how to be aggressive in prosecuting them. And we also follow those drug dealers back down to other communities. We do drug raids in Detroit. If that's where the drugs came from, we have a BEST team that we're connected to. We can follow that problem down there and attack them at their base and make it very clear, do not come up to St. Clair County. And that's really that in a nutshell. The Drug Task Force seized $3.5 million worth of drugs just last year alone. Last year they did 68 drug raids. The year before, I think they were at about 80. They usually are right around 100, a couple weird years with COVID, and it goes up and down. And when you see a big number of drugs, sometimes there's less raids because you get on one of these big dealers and it takes up more of their time. But the work they do is very important. They're highly trained, and I'm proud of the work they do, and I really believe it has a huge impact in keeping our county safe and our county from becoming more like some of the other areas that used to be nice that maybe went downhill because of lack of the ability to attack the problem at its base. So I think I went kind of fast. I hope I didn't ramble too much. There's a lot of information there. Again, we're very proud of this report. It's the first ever, and it'll continue on as long as I'm sheriff, and it gives a great picture of what's going on. If you want to get a digital or tell people where to go find it, because we don't have a million of these printed out because they're pretty expensive, but obviously I did bring some for everyone. The webpage is on the bottom, www.stclaircountysheriffs.org, and they can go on, it's all on there digitally. They can peruse through
I was
everything.
gonna ask you if we could get a couple for the.
Yeah, I do
desk
have a
at
couple
the
more.
bottom.
I always bring a couple more, yeah, so I'll definitely leave them behind. So with that, I really appreciate your time and everybody listening to me ramble on a little bit. I'm
I
proud
have
of
a
my
question.
department. Yeah, I was gonna ask, any questions?
How many do we house in the jail now?
We're capable of 491, and I believe this morning's count was 387. I get a count every day. So there was a time that we were at capacity. COVID really brought it down, and I believe we're at about 225 during COVID, but it's gone back up. It'll be like a slingshot to get up because some of the cases that weren't either adjudicated as they usually would have been, and then these people maybe were on parole or probation, they'll violate and become part of our cycle. But also, there's also been a change in approaches to how people are getting sentenced. And I don't want to get on a soapbox, but unfortunately, you know, we do very well in this county, but state and nationally wide, the emphasis seems to be, not from law enforcement, the emphasis seems to be on the offender and not the victims. And I've met with victims just recently, 2 different sets of victims, and they're frustrated, and we're frustrated because, you know, when we look at a person who commits a crime, there are several reasons why they could find jail time. One of them is punishment. One of them is, quite frankly, to take you out of society for a while so we don't have to be victimized by you. And then there's other things as well, and we do want to get them help. I talked about the over 15 services we have in the jail, anything from drug abuse, alcohol abuse, domestic violence. You name the problem, there's a program that they can go through. What they do with it is up to them. Some of it's mandated by judges. So when we have them in custody, we have a captive audience, and we can get them services, and then what they do with it is up to them. But unfortunately, we're finding a little bit too soft on crime, I think. And
Tell me, just off the top of your head, if you know, how much of those residents that are in your jail are from like Marine City, Algonac, Ira Township, that way?
so I don't have the number, but I can tell you that we've looked at it, and it's very much populace-based, right? So the percentage of people in my jail would match up, like the percentage of people from my jail that are in Cottreville Township will probably match up with the same with every other community by the populace in numbers. Does that make sense? So, you know, if the city of Port Huron is 35% of our populace, they're probably 35% of our populace in the jail, give or take some. So it's pretty equal across the board,
Okay.
so.
Anybody else got any questions?
How many officers do you have in the school resource?
We have 4.
4?
Yeah. Yeah, we had 2 when I started, and we're able to add 2 more, and we're always trying to add more. I'm very aggressive with that. I gave all the Alice training. I say all, I started with a lieutenant. He was, I think, a deputy at the time. I was a lieutenant. All the Alice training, which is the active shooter resistance training for civilians. And we went all over the county, and I really pushed it on schools. And I got a little pushback from some because they're uncomfortable with some of the ideas. And I said, hey, listen, this is the professional standard to this. We know that you can't just wait and pray that the shooter would decide to stop shooting. You have to take action. And that was really my foot in the doors with the schools. And they've gotten a lot better with being on board with having school resource officers in their schools. So we have 4 from the sheriff's office. There's at least 4 more throughout the county from other agencies that we work closely with.
Is that it? Anybody else?
Well,
Anybody in the audience got anything they'd like to ask? I guess we're done here then.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. You want me to set those over there?
Right on the table there would be great.
Hope you all have a good meeting. Thanks again.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Take care. Good luck painting. We're getting some assignments.
All right. We'll get back to our regular meeting here. We're going to begin with the consent agenda. The first item, of course, is the minutes of the regular meeting of April 10th. The approval of the treasurer's reports for the reconciliation of the tax account for March, the general checking for March, the cash summary report from the general fund for March, and then, of course, the report for the township investments for March. Under the clerk's office, we've got revenue and expenditure reports beginning April 1st, running through the end of April. That's about 25 pages. There's approval of paychecks for all of April in gross amount of $38,860.11, and it's paychecks 3740 to 3767. And there's also the approval of accounts payables. The check numbers, 29 checks between 22,096 and 22,124 in the amount of $91,085.54. We also have the Marine City Area Fire Authority report for February. We didn't get a report this month for IRAs, so
We didn't?
it shouldn't be February, it should be March, April. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Motion carried. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board at this time on anything that's on the agenda? Okay, it's 7:55, so we'll go on from there. Unfinished business, Last month's petition was turned in by Mr. and Mrs. Neal and Lisa McKenzie. They turned it over to the township attorney and to see what he can put together for AJ's seafood restaurant, so that's in the works. Number 2 is the house demolition at 7503 River Road. South of AJ's has been prepaid by the owner, and he has given the township permission to get the asbestos removed and disposed of, and the rest of the building to be leveled and demolished, and the basement crushed and removed, and furnishing of the backfilling of sand in place to raise the basement grade to the existing level, however, not to exceed 250 tons. So that is in the works as well. Under new business, the approval of payment for reimbursement to Barb Schutt. She is our assessor, in the amount of $50 for registration for the meeting and class for the BSNA for St. Clair County Assessors Association for April 11th. We have a motion to approve that $50 reimbursement to Barb.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
I should roll call vote, yeah. Sorry.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is number 2, approved payment for Township Attorney Garen, Lukow, and Miller for February's 2024 invoices in the amount of $748, and the March invoices for 2024 in the amount of $2,397. The grand total is $3,145.
And most of that was just for the salt dock?
I'm sorry?
Most of that was just for, no? I kind of read through it, but,
No, there's
There's a
different
couple
things in
things?
there.
Okay.
We got lots of irons in the fire right now, and it kind of, he's trying to get them all rounded up at once, and so he can spend like 2 weeks in the courthouse.
all right.
These were not late. The one invoice was turned in after our March meeting, or our April meeting for March, and February's wasn't turned in on time either, so.
Okay.
That's the reason why it's nothing to do with the clerk. She's doing a fine job. So we have a motion to approve that $3,145 to pay the lawyer.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second in the amount of $3,145. By roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, item number 3 is the request by the Treasurer Department Manager, Deputy Treasurer Nicole Hart, to print the 2024 summer tax bills, print 2 sides, fold, insert into a double-windowed envelope, seal, sort, and mail first-class pre-sorted mail, and to be mailed on June 28th, 2024, for the July due date that it has to be to everybody's mailbox. The first request is for estimated postage in the amount of $1,014, and the total estimated cost for all printing services shall be approved for not more than $786. The grand total not to exceed $1,800. The reason I can't nail it down to exactly the amount, because they don't know until they actually run them.
Yeah.
So I always add a little extra to it in case, so it doesn't go over the amount, and we can still pay it without having another meeting. And both are for printing and postage payable to KCI in Grand Rapids. Do I have a motion to approve paying for the disbursement of the summer taxes by the treasurer's office so they can collect taxes for us?
I'll make the motion.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, number 4 is request for approval to pay Project Control Engineering for the March 2024 services rendered for the project number 2021. Let's see, that is in the amount of $9,695. Once it's paid, our draw is into the state of Michigan. Once they pay it, then we disperse. So, but it's ready to go whenever the money comes in from the state of Michigan. Do we have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve paying project control.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is number 5. It's a request by the St. Clair County Council on Aging. It's their normal annual letter that they send me for Washington Life Center Advisory Committee. Last year, our donation was $500. It's up to you guys whether you want to pay this or not. I'm in favor of it because it serves a lot of our local residents that take care of, that participate in that. There are all kinds of projects, so, but we do have to, I would like to donate something, so. Do we have a figure in mind?
I motion to make a donation of the same amount of $500.
And I'll support that. All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, number 6 is for a utility bill adjustment by Mr. Robert Vandeveld. He lives at 7870 McKinley Road, and he had a late charge forgiven, he wants a late charge forgiven in the amount of $56, but now it is $56.41. Okay. He had paid his bill less the $56. He told us that he had a leak from the size of the first bill, but now he's got another 36,000 gallon water bill, so he has promised to get the plumber to make the repair, but he's, it's still wasting water, so. But if you want to give him that waive, it's over $50, so I can't grant it, but if you want to grant it, we need a motion
I'll make a motion then.
I'll second it.
to approve it.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is number 7, and that's a request for utility billing adjustment by Mrs. Kirsten Burkhardt. She lives at 7660 River Road, and she has a late charge forgiven in the amount of
It's 5607.
$56.07. She had paid the previous bill, however, not the late fee. Having paid the bill one day late, she claims that she's never been late before, and researching that has verified that by the clerk's office, that she's never had a late payment before. So, if anyone would like to approve that waiving of that amount for Mrs. Burkhardt, now's the time.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
support.
it.
Okay, got Tom's. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Angela, yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay, the only thing I have on here for announcements is, that, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, McKenna planners from Northville, Michigan's advised us that they are working on the Marine City Master Plan and the 5-year Parks and Recreation Plan, and that is currently in the public comment period. That the document is available for review at the Marine City Hall or the Public Library or online at the cityofmarincity.org. And the review period is 63 days and expires on Monday, 12 noon, July 8th, 2024. And anyone wanting to give their opinion may comment by letter or email, smoke signals, it doesn't matter, to the attention of the planner, Bridget Smith Wolf. She's the associate planner. Is there anybody that wants to comment on that? Or if you have trouble getting it, just let me know and I'll see if I can print something out for you so you can look at it if you're interested. So that is it. Any public comments? About anything. It doesn't have to be on this. Okay, well, is there any board member comments? No? Then I guess we're here for an adjournment at motion for 8:04. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second. 8:04. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.